Hi everybody, Dan Illman taking a look at the $250,000 Zia Park Derby on Wednesday at Zia Park. It is a huge afternoon of racing at Zia, tons of stakes action. Get involved with a new DRF Bets account. When you sign up at bets.drf.com, you receive a 300% deposit match. Here's the field. We've got 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th for $250,000 in the Zia Park Derby, and the morning line favorite is the number 8 Combatant, going out for trainer Steve Asmussen. While Combatant is only 1 for 12 in his career, he has taken on some tough company. Second in the Grade 3 Southwest, third in the Grade 2 Rebel, fourth in the Arkansas Derby. Heck, he even competed in the Kentucky Derby earlier this year, finishing a well-beaten 18th behind Justify. My issue with Combatant coming off a 4th place finish in the Grade 3 Oklahoma Derby is this horse is a one-run closer that needs a hot pace and racing luck in order to succeed. He's just not my cup of tea. I like more tactically placed horses, especially at a short price. Combatant, if he goes off at that 5-2 morning line, to me represents a little bit of an underlay. You know he's an honest horse that comes with an honest effort. I'm just not sure he's gotten much better than the Combatant we saw in the spring when he was competitive in those Kentucky Derby preps at Oak Lawn Park. He got a really nice pace scenario in the Oklahoma Derby and was able to finish 4th. It'll be interesting to see if he gets a similar pace situation this time around. We look at Timeform US for some clues regarding the pace projector, and we see the number 8 Combatant near the back of the pack, and on the lead is his uncoupled stablemate, also trained by Steve Asmussen. This is the number 1 Limation, who might offer better value than Combatant and is obviously going to get the jump on him turning into the stretch. Limation 2 starts back earned a gaudy 96 Beyer speed figure and 120 Timeform US figure when sitting just off the pace in the Grade 3 Super Derby at this mile and a 16th distance. Last time out in the Oklahoma Derby, nothing went right for Limation. He was part of a torrid 3-ply pace battle, and he paid the price at a mile and an 1/8, a distance that is probably too far for him. So he's cutting back to a more appropriate distance. He gets a more appropriate pace situation, breaking from the inside under Ricardo Santana, and Limation might be able to take this field a long way. He does have that race from 2 starts back that indicates he's fast enough to win a race like the Zia Park Derby. The number 2 is Airstrike, who's sitting a comfortable spot on our Timeform US pace projector. This is a lightly raced son of Kentucky Derby winner Street Sense, who is a perfect 2 for 2 for trainer Phil D'Amato. Now, while he beat older horses in his most recent start, including the 4th place finisher Sheer Flattery, a next out winner of a $50,000 starter allowance with an 89 Beyer speed figure, there were several 3-year-olds in that race, and Airstrike got a really good pace setup. They won a solid half mile in 46-2, and Flavien Prat that day gave Airstrike a really nice ride, sitting in the 2 path, angling 4 wide, turning into the stretch, and he let Airstrike do the rest as the 2-1 favorite. He's now paired up Beyer tops in his 2 starts for D'Amato, and I wouldn't be surprised by a forward move at all. But he's a horse that perhaps needs a little bit of pace to set up his late kick. I do think he is as tactical as Timeform US says, and Airstrike is a horse that bears watching, at least on the bottom of exotic. 7-2 on the morning line to me, though, seems just a bit light. The number 7 is Sky Promise, who was claimed for $40,000 4 starts back by trainer Robertino Diodoro, and all this horse did was switch from turf to dirt and become the first horse in history, I believe, to win the 3 major derbies in Western Canada: the Manitoba Derby, the Grade 3 Canadian Derby, and the Grade 3 British Columbia Derby, and he looked good winning the British Columbia Derby. That Weekend Wizard, the horse that he ran down, is a nice horse, and Weekend Wizard set a very comfortable pace, and Sky Promise still ran and got him in the stretch. Weekend Wizard came back to run second in the Getaway Day Stakes at Emerald Downs. We'll get to that race in a moment. He earned a 90 Beyer in his next start. Sky Promise was able to really appreciate sort of the bull ring at Hastings and Northlands Park. His Beyer speed figure still a little bit light compared with some of the others, but there's no doubt he is battle-hearted and classy. It'll be interesting to see if this mile and a 16th is a little bit short for the number 7 Sky Promise. Let's talk about the 9 All Out Blitz, because I think there's a chance that he could work out a decent trip very close to the pace if he doesn't battle too hard with Limation. This is a horse that I think is slowly figuring it out for trainer Simon Callahan. Pace pressing winner 2 back at Los Alamitos, 90 Beyer speed figure, and most recently in the Comet to the Top Stakes, facing older horses, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. The rock, the graded stakes winning St. Joe Bay, was the pace setter. The hard place was the 2017 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner and even money favorite Battle of Midway. All Out Blitz was sandwiched between those two horses, and when Battle of Midway came calling on the turn, All Out Blitz was forced to go all in between. He was very game to finish second, out-finishing St. Joe Bay. I think this horse at 15-1 offers some value, and if Limation just isn't the horse that he looked like 2 starts back when he won over a wet track, maybe All Out Blitz is the one to catch in the late stages. Certainly a horse to keep an eye on. The 4 Analyze This Jet scored last time out in the non-winners of 2 other races at Remington Park, and it was nice to see the runner-up come back and win at that level with an 87 Beyer speed figure. Analyze This Jet, rock-solid horse, but both of his wins on dirt have come over wet going. He is 0 for 10 on fast dirt tracks. The 5 is Restrained Vengeance. He's only raced once on dirt in his career, and it's probably too early to tell if he just doesn't like that surface. That race came in his second lifetime start as a 2-year-old, and he was in against Instill Regard and a couple of other nice ones like Blended Citizen. That was a really strong maiden race, and Restrained Vengeance was far from embarrassed, finishing 4th. He's competed exclusively on turf since then, and he's had some success winning the Oceanside Stakes at Del Mar on opening day of their summer meet. He's a horse that's going to have to run those turf races on dirt. At 10-1 on the line, though, it appears he has enough class to deal with these kind of horses. The 3 is Nanush, also trained by Robertino Diodoro. He's 2 for 2 for Diodoro, and he scored last time out at Turf Paradise, utilizing the turf to dirt move that was so successful with the number 7 Sky Promise. His Beyer speed figures, however, are a little light, and this is a big class hike. The first time that Nanush has stepped up into the stakes ranks. Let's take a look at my top pick, however, for this race. I'm going to go with the number 6, Yulong Warrior. This is a son of Street Cry who began his career in Europe and then raced in Dubai in the spring, winning a $250,000 stakes race before tackling Mendelssohn in the UAE Derby, and Mendelssohn just freaked out that day. We know how good that horse is. Yulong Warrior then went to the sidelines. He had 1 race off the layoff for trainer Doug O'Neill, and then he shipped to Emerald Downs for that Getaway Day Stakes. And Weekend Wizard, as I mentioned, is a pretty nice horse. Evan Roman gave Yulong Warrior a beautiful trip and ride. He saved ground. He was very patient with Yulong Warrior, riding like he was the best horse. He angled into the stretch 3 wide, and he just ran right by those horses to the tune of a 92 Beyer speed figure. I like that he overcame a slow pace to run down Weekend Wizard that day. It seems like he's working right along for this spot, and if he gets a little bit of a pace with the 1 and the 9 hooking up, I think he can at least get the jump on closers like Combatant turning into the stretch. So I'm going to go with Yulong Warrior in here. I'm also going to use a little bit of that all-out blitz, especially if he goes off close to that 15-1 morning line. 6-9 for me in multiple race wagers. 6, 9, 2, and 8. My top 4 picks in the Zia Park Derby. And if you're playing this card, I'd love to remind you that if you sign up for a DRF Bets account, you automatically receive a 300% deposit match. Bets.drf.com is where you need to go for all of the details. An approximate post time for the Zia Park Derby is 4:03 Mountain. Best of luck.